Hi guys, good evening, good morning. What we discussed last class, can anybody tell me? Can you hear my voice?
Yep, we can hear you. About
Can
the
you?
cloud computing and creating of an Azure account.
Mm-hmm.
How the Azure came into existence and previously what we used to use and what we are using now and about the cloud
Mm-hmm.
and types of clouds we're using right now.
Yeah. You're all from Harsha Technologies? No. Uh, hey Carlos, good evening. How are you? Carlos, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, sir.
Hi. So
Hi,
hi Carlos, long time man. How are you?
I'm good. How are you,
Good, good. You remember me?
Ravi?
Yeah.
Yeah, are you training here? Are you a trainer with Harsha too?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I meet you. Yeah.
You remember me, Carlos? My name is Ravi Kumar.
Of course. How can I forget you, Ravi?
Okay, good to see you here, man. Good to see you. So, guys, who are the people who joined today? Please tell me yes or no very quickly.
Yeah, I'm the one.
Who else? Did everybody attended the last class? Okay. Snehita, are you following, right, Snehita? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, as last class, we started with cloud computing fundamentals, and then we discussed briefly something like there are two types of computing platforms. One is on-premise, and the second thing is cloud. What is the main difference between on-premise and cloud? I try to tell you. In on-premise, we manage everything, we purchase everything. In on-premise, we are responsible for everything that we do. But in cloud, okay, we don't own anything, but what we lease the resources. Okay, in any cloud computing environment, there are basically three or four pillars that are really required. What are those basically three or four pillars? Those three or four pillars happens to be one is compute. Compute means you need to process the data, you need to process your jobs, you need to run your applications. For that one, you need to have this CPU and CPU processing speed that is really required. That is what is called as compute. Then you need to have something like storage. You need to store gigabytes and terabytes or petabytes of data. Then you need to have something like storage that should exist. And similarly, you need to have the RAM that need to be used for processing your data. That is what is called as memory. Then you need to store all your data in the form of databases. That is the place where we need to have that data. when when you are using so many types of computers that are working together, what you need to do is that you need to connect all those things together. So that in such a case, what you need to have is that you need to have this networking that should exist. So that's why in any computing platform, these are the major pillars that you need to have. What are those major pillars? One is nothing but your compute. Okay. The second thing is nothing but database. The third thing is nothing but storage, and fifth one is nothing but your security. Obviously, you need to have the security also as well, right? Accordingly, you need to have something like networking. Okay, so in any platform, this is the major pillar that we are supposed to use. These are the five major pillars that you need to have: a compute, a database, a storage, networking, and security. These are the five pillars that you are going to have. Okay. Now the thing is that in cloud computing, what we do is that all these particular resources we don't purchase, we don't own. But what we do, Snehita, what we do in the case of cloud? Okay. See, in the case of cloud computing, what we do is that we don't own the resources, but what we do is that we try to lease the resources, or else we try to rent the resources, lease the resources, or rent the resources. So that's how this cloud computing has been started. And then let us think like this here. See, before the cloud, what we are having is that we are having the highest cost of procuring this infrastructure. Because when you want to purchase a laptop, when you want to purchase all these particular things, it costs a lot. Now, another thing what we need to have is that you need to ahead time of planning. Sometimes whenever you're having the load in there might be a peak load, or else there might be a low load. In such a case, whenever there is a low load, what happens is that there is a low infrastructure utilization. There is a low infrastructure utilization. Okay. And then we have this detailed infrastructure maintenance team, because whenever you want to utilize these resources, you have to have a uh, you have to have a mm, good infrastructure specialists or system specialists that need to be used for maintaining these particular resources. So that's the reason before cloud we have all these challenges. Okay, but now once we get into the cloud, what happens is that instead of purchasing the resources, what we are doing is that we are trying to rent the resources. We are trying to rent the resources. Okay, while we are trying to rent these particular resources. When you want them, and then release them back when you don't need them. And it is something like this. Instead of purchasing a car, if you try to rent a car or lease a car, if you try to rent a car or lease a car, what happens is that when you rent the car only for the time you need, and whatever the time that you don't need, you can return that car back. Okay, here also as well, you try to take the resources whenever you need them, and then whenever you don't need them, you try to return them back. So that's the reason we don't own the resources, we only rent the resources. And the second thing what you need to do is that this is called as an on-demand provisioning. What do you mean by this on-demand provisioning? Whenever we need, then only we try to procure. If we don't need, then we really don't need to procure. So such type of thing is called as provisioning, silver lining within the cloud. And one more thing is that this is called as elasticity. What is this elasticity? Uh, when somebody see this graph, can you please tell me in 2016 or 2017 or 2018 where there is a huge demand of resources? In which year there is a huge demand of resources? You please tell me. In which year there is a huge demand of resources? In which year there is a huge demand of resources, guys? Here, Sneha, can you tell me in which year there is a huge demand of resources here? See here, this is the time where you are going to have this huge demand of resources. Okay, now here in the case of cloud computing, what automatically happens is whenever there is a huge demand, okay, the resources will be automatically be increased, and whenever there is a less demand, we try to decrease the resources. Okay, that is what is called as elasticity. So these are the two terms that we need to understand. On-demand resource planning means whenever you want them, we need it, and whenever you don't want them, you don't need it. Whenever you don't want them, we don't need it. So such type of thing, what you're having here is nothing but a on-demand resource planning that we need to do it here. On-demand resource planning. On-demand resource planning is something that we want to do it here in this case. On-demand resource planning. Elasticity means whenever there is a peak utilization of services, we try to increase the number of resources, and whenever there is no need of that much demand, we try to decrease the resources. That is what is called as elasticity in this case here. So that's why cloud advantages, as I have told you, global in minutes. What do you mean by global in minutes? If you start an application in India or US, and then that application has to be utilized in Australia or China or somewhere else, within minutes you can make that application available across the globe within minutes. That is what is called as global minutes. And one more thing is that since everything is going to be on the cloud, something like this. Uh, whenever there is a data center, you have to maintain the data center. Whenever everything is within the cloud, since you don't own any of those particular things, what you do is that you try to stop spending money on those infrastructure. So that is the second thing. And third thing is that capital expenditure for variable expenditure. I have told you, whatever the initial expenditure that you spend for procuring all these computers and servers, what you do is that you try to use them for your initial investment, that is called as capital expenditure. So since in the cloud, there is no need for you to spend thousands and thousands of dollars for all these things. There is no need for you to spend thousands and thousands of dollars for all these things. Instead, what you can do is that you can pay for only the services that we want to use. That is the place where we want to rent these things. That is what is called as variable expenditure. So that's why in on-premise there is capital expenditure, but in the case of in on-premise there is capital expenditure, but in the case of uh, cloud there is only variable expenditure, or else we try to call that one as operational expenditure only. This is the cloud advantage here. So can anybody tell me what are all the different types of cloud service providers what you are having in the industry now? Major cloud service providers. What are all the major cloud service providers what we are having? today? Major cloud service providers. What are all the major cloud service providers? Guys, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, AWS, GCP, and Azure.
AWS, GCP, and Azure. Now, I just want to understand one thing here. If there is no response from any of the people, it is very difficult to focus and then concentrate because I want these particular lessons to be very interactive. Okay. And at least some of the people who can be able to interact, please raise your hands so that I'll be happy so that I can start focusing on asking the questions, what is being done. So the purpose of asking the questions is whether you are understanding or not. That is the purpose that I'm trying to ask the questions. Who can be able to be responsive in case if we can text your responses within the chat window, I'll start only asking those particular people and other people I really don't disturb. Who can respond? Please tell me. Guys, I'm waiting for you in the data engineering chat window. Who can respond to the questions that are being asked? Sneha, can you respond? Shiva, Simplis,
Yes, yes.
can you please respond in the chat window?
Yeah.
Who can do this one? Nikhil Reddy, can you respond? Okay. Rahul can respond. Sneha can respond. Shiva can respond. Shivkumar can respond. And if other people, if they think that they cannot be able to respond, thank you. At least be in the spectator mode and then you please listen what is going on. I'll be happy.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, sir. My voice, my mic is off. That's why I can't speak it, sir. My wife,
But kindly make sure that your mic is working, Baba. Kindly
yeah,
make
okay. I just want to make sure with my mic, sir. That's now it's working right now. It's good now.
Yeah, because without you guys responding, it is very difficult to focus.
Yeah,
on
I know,
the other.
sir. Yeah, I know, sir. You're asking a lot of questions, but
I lose interest and then I need to shut down the class at some point of time. I'm sorry.
yes, sir. We are sorry about our parts, sir. I'm really sorry about that our parts.
Okay. So there are a lot of cloud service providers that you're having. One is Microsoft Azure, the second one is Google Cloud Provider, and third one is Google Cloud Provider, and third one is AWS, Amazon Web Services. These are all the different types of uh, cloud service providers that you're having in the market. These are all the cloud service providers what you are having in the market. Okay. Now, Microsoft Azure. What is this Microsoft Azure here? This Microsoft Azure is something like, I think I need to stop the class when people are not really responding. I have to stop the class and then make sure that we agree on something before I start the class tomorrow. Okay. I can't do that one. But let me tell you a couple of things before I can go ahead on this one. I'm not really able to focus when people are not really responding. Okay. The first thing what we do is that, see here, the class is a 25 days, the class is a 25 days working class, working sessions. Okay. Each session runs for minimum 1 hour to 1 hour 15 minutes. Okay. So for the first few sessions, I'm going to give you the complete fundamentals of your cloud computing with respect to Azure, what is really required. Then from next sixth class onwards, what I'll be doing is that I'll be focusing on the Azure. You'll be having a portal called as Azure. You'll be having a portal called as Azure, and within this particular Azure, I need to go into this Azure portal here, and then I need to show it to you. Like this is your Azure portal. These are all the different types of services what you are going to have here. When you click on this particular services, there are a lot of different services that exist. Okay, among all these types of different services, what you are going to have is that we'll be focusing on this. We'll be focusing on this analytics. Within this analytics, we'll be focusing on this particular data engineering services that we are planning to use here. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a couple of things. Please understand, this is a very committed fast track program. Okay,